the iCloud, and I'm going to get started, everybody. Let me know if you're joining in, if you have any questions, but I'm going to get started on the Amped Inner Circle. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, Lisa, for being here, and thank you everyone who's hopping on and watching on the replay. So I want to talk today about the concept of high performance energy. So if any of you want more energy, this is the place to be. We're going to talk about how to create your own levels of energy. And I know that, you know, being a person that used to not have so much energy, I remember thinking, like, how does someone get energy? Like, how does she have so much energy and she has so much energy, or he does and I don't? And it felt like this thing that just fell in the lap of people that were lucky. And now I have energy, and people are always asking me, how do you have so much energy? And I realized that I created this energy, and that you can also create your own levels of energy. And that's the good news, is that it's not something that's innate. It's something that you actually create. So I'm going to talk for maybe 20, 25 minutes about energy, and then I want to open it up for questions, okay? So let's talk about energy. In the high performance lifestyle and the high performance business, which is what I call the amped business and the amped life, the E is energy. So energy is super, super important. And energy is the thing that you feel as the leader of the business, as the leader of the product, as the leader of the movement, that if you don't have the energy, the movement doesn't get moved. So energy is super, super, super important. One of the things that fascinates me about high performers is they don't burn out. They don't crash. They have what's called sustainability. They have this idea of long-term success. And we've been studying this as psychologists and high performers, and we've been studying people that have long-term success. It's like the Oprahs of the world. It's any of the people of the world that you follow that have been around for like 40 years. It's like, how do they do it? So what we've learned is the edge for being a high performer is inside of you. It's not outside of you, right? And this kind of makes perfect sense. It's like, oh yeah, I knew that, but how the heck do I get that? So what I like to call high performance is a state of what I call being in the flow, being in ease, being in joy. And the definition of flow, at least in the land of high performance, means you're just a little bit on the edge of your comfort zone. And that struck me. I was like, I didn't know that's what flow meant. But flow, being in the flow, and that's what I wanted to be. Being in the flow meant being just right on the edge of your comfort zone. Not so much that it would stifle you, not so much that it would stop you, not so much that it would say, we cannot do this, but just a little bit on the edge so that you just be like, yeah, I can go to the next level. That's what being in the flow looks like and feels like. So I want to tackle this idea of, can we be crushing it and still be happy? Can we completely crush it and still be happy? And what I want to share with you today is the answer is yes. We can be crushing it and still be happy. And that is the only definition to me of high performance. And the idea is, you can't take everyone with you when you're feeling low, but you can take everyone with you when you're feeling high, when you're feeling in the flow, when you're feeling energetic. So I want to talk about energy in the sense of the three-part trifecta. So I want to talk about energy in three parts. There's three parts of your energy. There's mental energy, there's emotional energy. So mental energy, emotional energy, and physical energy. So when we're looking at high performers have passion, they have stamina, they have motivation, they have physical health, they have all these things. So I want you to take your pen and paper out, and I want you to rate yourself right now in your life on, let's see, 5 questions. And I want you to rate yourself from 1 to 5, with 1 being I have very, very, very little of that, to 5 being I have lots of that. Okay, so 1 to 5, there's 5 questions. I want you to rate yourself. The first question is, I have the mental stamina to be present and focused throughout the day. Just rate yourself 1 to 5. 5 being I'm killing it. 1 being, oh my God, I have none of that. I have the mental stamina to be present and focused throughout the day. The second question, rate yourself 1 to 5. I have the physical energy I need to achieve my goals every day. I have the physical energy I need to achieve my goals every day. Rate yourself 1 to 5. Third question, in general, I feel cheerful and optimistic. Rate yourself 1 to 5. How cheerful and optimistic do you rate yourself? 1 to 5. Fourth question, my mind feels quick and clear, like I can come up with great ideas. My mind feels quick and clear. Rate yourself 1 to 5. 5 being like, I'm killing it. 1 being like, I got nothing of that. And the last question, I have a lot of positive emotions and energy. I have a lot of positive emotions and energy. So positive emotions are joy, happiness, excitement, optimism, right? So 1 to 5, how many of those feelings, like how are you on those feelings, okay? So this is what we know from the research. A lower energy score means certain things. It means things like a lower energy score leads to lower overall happiness. A lower energy score means lower overall enthusiasm for taking on new challenges. You can see why that would be so important in your business, right? A lower score means you're going to be susceptible to comparatitis. I call it a disease that's killing off so many in the social media world, right? Comparatitis. You feel everyone is passing you by. You feel everyone is doing it better than you. A lower score is, it's a lower confidence level in your ability to face adversity. So what we want to do is we want to increase your bounce back ability score. We want to increase your bounce back ability level. So when we become more emotionally mature and more savvy in business, we have what is called resilience. We have what is called a bounce back ability. So something really, 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 really crappy can happen to you at 9 a.m., but by 11 a.m., you're like, all right, we're back in the game. That's emotional maturity. That's what CEOs have. That's what I want you all to have. It's this bounce back ability, this resilience. Okay. The lower your energy score, the lower your level of influence will be. It kind of makes sense, right? The people who have the great amount of influence, they have a level of energy. They have a level of helping people enlist them into their believability of the thing they're doing. So the lower your level of influence, the lower the more you struggle to get people to believe what you believe. So the higher level of energy, the easier it is to get people to believe what you believe. Okay, the lower your level of energy, the lower you will be able to get people to buy into you, to buy from you, to follow you, to support you. The higher your level of energy, the more you'll be able to sell. There's absolute research that says the higher your level of energy, the more you will be able to get people to follow you, support you, and buy from you. And last, lower your energy score is, the lower likelihood that you'll eat well and exercise. So you'll get fatter and you'll have more cortisol levels. Cortisol is a stress hormone. And when we have more cortisol, stress hormone in our body, the more weight we pack on. Now, let's flip it. When you increase your energy, you will actually, studies show you'll want to learn more. You'll want to be more educated. We can imagine the more educated you want to be, the more influential you'll be because you'll know more, okay? The more educated you will want to become. Second, the more creative you will be. So the more energy you will be, the more creative you'll be. So I had last month, I just had a dip. I had people reaching out to me saying, I want to be your coach. I can take you far and blah, blah, blah. And I thought of like, oh my God, maybe they're the ticket. And I paid them all this money and I got totally stressed out. And you know what? I didn't come up with a clever idea in that last month. I ended the relationships. I said, I'm going to do this on my terms. I want to enjoy my business. In the last week, I have created so many ideas. So I want you to know that the more energy you have, the more creative you will be. The research shows that. Last, the more energy you have, the more assertive you will be. You will speak up for yourself. You will take action towards your dreams. You will ask people for what you want. So last, let's just review. The more energy you have, this is why energy is so important. Your happiness will increase. Your enthusiasm to take on new challenges will increase. So you'll be more courageous. You will perceive your success as greater than you normally would. So your comparitis will go down and your level of perceiving your own success will increase. You will have increased confidence. You will have increased problem-solving skills. You will have an increased level of influence. So people will buy from you, be influenced by you, follow you, and you will eat well and exercise more than you normally would. So energy is huge, okay? Okay. There was a study done, and Brendon Burchard, my mentor, and a lot of yours, quoted this in his book, but he found that CEOs of businesses have the same level of energy. Their energy level is equivalent to that of professional athletes. And so he says, I'm going to quote him, it turns out that to make it to CEO, you have to care about your energy as much as an NFL quarterback does, because it takes about the same level of energy. So I've been to a lot of Brendon Burchard conferences. He's had a lot of speakers, and some of the speakers have followed NFL pros. They followed basketball pros, and they share the same thing. They watch them practicing, and what they find is the greats practice the basics over and over and over and over and over and over. And when you ask them, why are you practicing the basics? You're the greatest. They will say, how do you think I became the greatest? Okay, so it takes about the same level of energy. So if you want to be more productive, it's not about finding, the next cool app on your phone. It's about finding your next level of energy. It's not about finding the next app. It's about finding your next level of energy. So let's quickly talk about stress. Psychologists know a lot about stress. We know that stress slows down the production of new brain cells. We need a lot of brain cells to be an entrepreneur that is killing it, right? Stress slows down serotonin. Serotonin's your feel-good chemical. Stress fires up the amygdala, which makes you feel frazzled. And stress decreases your hippocampus, which makes you remember things. So we don't want to be frazzled and have a really poor memory. We want to have good hormones, good feelings, serotonin up, dopamine up, and we want to be firing on all cylinders, right? So here's the thing we know about energy. Brendon Burchard always says, people don't have energy, they create energy. The power plant doesn't have energy, it generates energy. So you don't have it or you don't, you generate it. And I think that's good news. I think you have the capability of generating energy and generating happiness. So when Brendon Burchard studied the high performers of the world and studied their energy and their happiness, he found 3 habits. And really, he studied psychologists and what we know about happiness as well. And I can tell you it all rings true. So I'm going to tell you the 3 habits that super successful, happy, energized people do. And you can apply these to your life. So the first habit is, why don't you write this down? They release tension and set intention. So what you find that high performers do is they activate their brains more often and throughout the day. And they activate their brains to be their ideal self. So high performers are not different than you and I. They just activate their brains differently than you and I. Okay? And they master transitions. So I want you to quickly write down, imagine your typical day. Why don't you take a minute or two and write down all the transitions that you go through in a day. Transition is you wake up, then you need to get in the shower, then you need to go and, get your green smoothie, or then you need to go and have your first client, then you need to have your second client, then you have to have a meeting, then you go to lunch, then you come back home, then you, whatever the transitions are, you go to work all day, then you come home to your children, then you transition to relaxing time, then you transition to reading time, then you transition to your workout time in the morning. There's all these transitions. So I want you to just think about your typical day. When you wake up, how many transitions you go through each day. And on average, it's probably 1 every hour, right? So your likelihood, you're probably going through 12 to 16 transitions every single day. Every single day. And the difference between high performers and non-high performers is they master their transitions. And this is how they do that. They think about their typical day. They count up all the transitions that they might experience. And they take breathers in all of their transitions. And what I want you to understand is this concept of how they do it. So as they are transitioning, they do a certain habit. And the habit is they literally stop. You might be in your car, you might be in your office building between transitions, and you ask yourself, first of all, I'm going to take 2 minutes. Take two minutes. So every of these transitions takes 2 minutes. The first thing is for 1 minute, scan your body. And psychologists call this progressive muscle relaxation. And I want you to literally scan your body from the top of your head down to the bottom of your toes. And I want you to scan your body for tension. And if you feel tension, I want you to release it. Science has found that it's easier to release it if you kind of tense it and then release it. So if I find I have tension in my neck, I'm going to tense my neck and then I'm going to release it. But you can just release it if you find that's easy for you. For most humans, it's easier to tense it and then release it. But I want you to, for a minute, just flow through your body and release all the tension. And then for 1 minute, I want you to set the intention for your next meeting. So I might be driving home. I might be in my garage. I might be saying, okay, I just got home from my day of work. I want to set my intention for how I want to show up to my 3 kids and my husband. What kind of errand do I want to give to them? Who do I want to show up as? How do I want to be? High performers are very intentional about their transitions. Every single transition they have, every single meeting they have, every single appointment they have, every single thing that they're doing, this is my key. They are where their feet are. So just ask yourself, where are my feet at? Where are my feet at? That can be a really great cue for you. Where are my feet at? That's where I want to be. Okay. So there's 3 things high performers want to experience. They want to experience joy. They want to experience confidence. And they want to experience engagement. And we're talking about engagement here today. We're talking about feeling your day, feeling your life. High performers don't just get through their life and get to the end of it like, shoo! No, they feel every single, they want to feel the moments of it. They want to feel every hour. They want to feel every experience. They want to feel joy. And that's how I bring joy to my present moment. That's how you will bring joy to your present moment. So release the tension, set intention. Release tension, set intention. So I want you to ask yourself, in terms of the setting intention, ask yourself, what do I want to experience? how can I bring the joy to this experience, to this meeting? How can I bring the joy? How do I want to show up? What level of energy do I want to bring to this setting, this situation, this meeting? Okay. So if you look at athletes, they say things like, I get in the zone. High performers get in the zone, and they get in the zone by figuring out, how am I going to cultivate joy? High performers zone is, I want to experience joy. So they're going to ask themselves certain questions. How can I activate what's super important to me? How can I visualize and anticipate what's important? So this is how you can do it. So at every transition you make, let's say I'm going to meet Lisa for a cabbie appointment for clothing, and I'm pulling up to her driveway, and I'm in my car. I'm going to ask myself, what kind of energy do I want to bring to this appointment? What kind of outcome do I want to experience after this appointment? Whether I buy any clothes or not, how do I want to show up as? What kind of energy do I want to bring to Lisa? What kind of gratitude do I want to bring to Lisa? Okay. I wonder how we're going to work together in the future. That's optimism. I want you to bring a sense of wondering and optimism to your appointments. I want you to think about, what problems could we have and how could I most effectively solve them? I want you to think through, what could possibly go wrong in this appointment? Well, Lisa could make, if she was a different saleswoman than she is, she could be like, you need to buy all this right now. Okay, I could actively problem solve my way out of that and say, let me get back to you by 10 o'clock tonight. I'm going to go home. I'm going to look at my closet. I'm going to talk to my husband. I'll get back to you by 10 tonight. I can actively think about how I'm going to solve these problems before our meeting. And last, how can I have a sense of gratitude, a sense of wonder, a sense of curiosity, and a sense of surprise to everything I do? I'm going to say that again because this seems so simple, but it's life-changing. When you write these 4 words down, how can I have gratitude? How can I have wonder? How can I have curiosity? And how can I have surprise? So this is what it looks like. When I go to a new networking meeting, I have a sense of gratitude. I get to be here. I don't have to be here. I get to be here. I wonder who I get to meet today. Get to is a great way to get you into gratitude. Instead of have to, changing one word, get to. I get to. So I learned about Instagram this weekend and learned about LinkedIn, and I'm crushing on Facebook, and I'm not crushing on all the others. And the brain will easily say, oh my God, you have to do all these other things. But I've trained my brain to say, you get to do all these other things. So I want you to train your brains to say, I get to. I wonder who I get to serve this week. I wonder who I get to influence this week. Wondering, I wonder who I'll meet this week. I wonder how we'll work together. Curiosity, I wonder who I'll meet at Lisa Larkin's Cabbie Show. And I wonder what I'll learn about business from watching her do her show. And surprise, oh my gosh, it's so exciting to meet someone new. Okay, I want you to bring that to everything you do. One of the things I've learned from John Maxwell, the greatest leadership coach in the world, is, the only way to keep what you have is to give it away. The only way to keep what you have is to give it away. And I was at the Win breakfast this morning, which in Nevada is a breakfast, monthly breakfast for business owners. And there was a high performance coach, and he talked about, imagine having 10 pennies in your pocket in the morning. And they want you to think about adding value to people throughout your day. And every time you add value, which is above and beyond your job description, you move 1 penny over to your next pocket. And by the end of the day, you got to move 10 pennies. And you don't end your day until you've moved the 10 pennies. So I want you to think about going out of your way, going above and beyond, adding value to people, adding blessings to people, adding inspiration to people. This is going to increase your energy. It's going to increase your energy. The other thing I want to chat about is consulting your ideal self. So I want you to think about, your ideal self. Your ideal self knows what she or he needs to do. Your ideal self knows the habits she or he needs to have. Your ideal self knows. You don't need me to tell you, like, you should be doing this. Your ideal self knows. You're not stupid. You're very, very smart. You've looked at the research. I want you to imagine consulting your ideal self throughout the day and be like, okay, ideal self, Erin, what would you do in this situation? What would you eat in this situation? What would you say in this situation? How would you handle this situation? I want you to consult your ideal self. And that's what's called in psychology cognitive diffusion. It's diffusing your brain from your thoughts. So it's saying, I'm observing my thoughts. I'm not my thoughts. The thoughts might come to me automatically. They might come to me because I've been trained that way. They might come to me because I've learned that over 20 years. But cognitive thoughts diffusion is, I'm going to look at my thoughts. I'm going to say, wow, you always show up when I'm trying something new. Or fear, you always show up when I'm going to do something big in the world. Or wow, you always show up when I'm really excited about something that's super, super new and I don't quite know what I'm doing. And you tell me I can't do it. Like, come along, and you have this relationship with it. You're like, come along, because we're going to go do this thing. And we got this big thing to do. And you can come along, and I'm not going to listen to you, but I hear you. And of course you're showing up because you're like trying to protect me and you're trying to show up for me. But you know what? If I listen to you, I won't go do that thing. So I'm going to go do that thing. And you can stay in the back seat. That's what cognitive diffusion is I'm not fused with my thoughts. I'm observing them. And if you can observe your thoughts, the world is your oyster. Like, the world is your possibility. Okay? The last thing I want to say about triggering your ideal self is you can set triggers. So Brendon Burchard has a lot of these triggers, and I'll give you some of my own, but some of the triggers to consult your ideal self, like, who would my ideal self be? It can be waiting in line triggers. So you can be, every time you're waiting in line, it could be your new habit of like, oh, where's my energy? Is it a 6? How can I get up to an 8? Oh, where's my energy? What's my intention? Your trigger could be every time you walk through a doorway. Oh, that's my trigger. What's my energy level? A trigger could be every single transition you go through. A trigger could be every hour on your phone. A trigger could be every time your alarm goes off on your phone. So just set up some triggers for your life that say, hey, 0 to 10, where's my energy? How can I get it up just another notch? You are the person that controls your energy. It does not fall into your lap. And I think that's such good news. So the last thing I'm going to talk about is what research says, and then I'll open up questions. But last thing I'm going to talk about in energy is the third habit that high performers do is they exercise. So we all know this. We all know it's important. And what I want to say is, if you want to be a high performer, if you want to be at the top 5%, you're going to have to exercise, and you're going to have to exercise a lot. And by a lot, I mean 4 to 7 times a week. I mean 20 minutes every day, 4 to 7 times a week. Moving your body, research shows, makes you more money. So if you need to tell yourself, I got this look at me phenomenon, I call it the look at me. I will literally go to the gym in the morning. I will get on the treadmill, or I will lift my weights, and I will say to my brain, I've trained my brain to say, look at me growing my empire. Look at me growing my empire. Look at me making money. Look at me making money. I literally train my brain. Look at me being a good mom. Look at me growing my business. It's so correlated that it's not mumbo jumbo. It's literally correlated with making more money. Okay? So I want you to know this. Top 5% of high performers exercise at least 3 times a week and at least 20 minutes. So that's 20 minutes of whatever you're doing. Okay? 60% of Americans are obese. So I want you to ask yourself, why do I want to be physically healthy? What are 3 things I can stop doing? What are 3 things I can start doing? And what's a weekly schedule I can get on? Who are my accountability partners? I have a group of people every morning we text, like, here I am at the gym. Like, find your group. I will be your group. If you need a group, just ask me. Every morning we need to be at the gym. It's like, look at me making money, being at the gym, getting all sexy and getting biceps and getting whatever. Like, I literally tell my brain, look at me making money by going to the gym. It's a non-negotiable. And so we know what to do. We just don't do what we know. So I want to help you with that. 2 other things that I'm not going to get into detail about in terms of energy, but 2 other things that will ramp up your energy is your environment. Lisa Larkin, you are a proponent of this. You make your house beautiful. You make your house lovely. Shirley Larkins, you're creating your dream house. I'm creating my dream house. Your environment changes you. I worked at the VA for a year. I was in a concrete office with no windows. I was miserable. Get me with some windows, I'm okay. Okay, so your environment changes things. If you don't love your environment, change your decor, do things that inspire you. The last thing is change the people that you're around. I was just training 12 top realtors in Reno. And the number one thing they said about sales, the thing that's getting in their way of sales, is they're spending time with people that don't give them energy. And it struck me. We literally struggle with this. We don't know how to say no to people that don't add to our life. We think it's selfish. We think it's a jerk of us to like not hang out with these people. But you know what? It's the worst thing we can do. And it's the best thing we can do to say, I'm worth hanging out with people that add value to my life and I add value to them. I will stop there and I will open up for questions. Thank you for listening. And please let me know any questions you have about this energy or anything about business. And unmute yourself if you're talking.
I unmuted, but I wasn't talking.
Does anyone have any questions?
No.
Great points, though, I have to say, Erin. I mean, you hit the nail right on the head. You know, as far as we kind of set ourselves up almost for failure because.
Oh, Lisa, just a second. I can't hear you.
Oh, no. I'm
That's so weird.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I have you on unmuted. Try again.
Can you hear me now? Hello?
I can hear
Got
you.
it. Okay.
Okay, cool.
Yes, thank you.
No, I said you said you.
Sorry, you guys. I have the volume down.
Mindset. It's that whole mindset that we, you know, I'm not good enough for that. I can't do this, or nobody wants to hear that. And that can just be so draining, you know, if you put yourself in that mindset each and every day. And I love your you know, talk about your moments. What are you doing? You know, and you change from one thing to the next, to the next, to the next. And I mean, because I work out of my house 24/7 with 2 jobs and whatever. And I do find myself kind of wandering at times because you see something, it's like, oh, I got to go do that. Oh, a plan of mindset of this is what you need to do.
I love that transition time thing too, because it's so true.
Yeah.
When you need the different hat on, you know, it's like, oh, I'm doing this right now. Instead of being frantic and going into the next meeting frantic and giving them that energy, take a minute.
Yes. You stop there, Shirley, but imagine going into your meetings without frantic energy. Imagine, and that's your cue, Shirley and Lisa. Every time you put on a new hat, and imagine you're like, putting on my new hat. I just went from trainer, and I'm going to go to see a client right now. New hat. So new hat means new transition, new intention, release the tension, set intention. You know, Oprah Winfrey started every meeting the same for 25 years at Harpo. She started the meeting with saying, what is your intention for this meeting? Just ask yourself that. What is your intention for this meeting? How do you want to show up? Your husband's coming home, Lisa. You've had a big day. How do you want to show up for your husband, the most important person in your life? You know, your grandkids are coming over and you've had a long, busy business day. How do you want to show up for your grandkids? You know, we need to ask ourselves every transition, who do I want to show up as? That generates energy. I was at Facebook last weekend and I was in a room with 22-year-olds. That's the average age. And one of them said, I don't want to be a high performer. I want to be average. I was like, oh, tell me more about that. Like, that's fascinating to me. Like, that's BS, right? And she goes, well, I just give all day long. By the end of the day, I'm just exhausted. And so I just can't give anymore. And I said, do you know there's a way to give that actually gives you energy. It doesn't take your energy. And I said, I give, and so do you guys all day long, and it doesn't take my energy. So it actually gives me energy, and that's what I want for people. I want your work on this planet to give you energy, not take your energy. But that is coming through intention. Mm-hmm. It's intention of how do I want to serve, and then if I did it, it's gratitude. Like, that is so cool that I got to serve that way. It's like taking inventory of, thank you, God, I just got to serve that person that way. Thank you. You know, and I always say gratitude will ruin your discontentment. Gratitude will ruin discontentment. It has mine. Anytime I'm discontent, gratitude comes in. I've trained it. And it's like, Aaron, remember though, you have this life that you always dreamed of. It just ruins it, like in a minute. And I love it. I love training my brain to ruin discontentment. Any other questions or thoughts or? Okay. Thank you for joining me.
Thanks, Erin.
Thanks for joining me. And I'll hit pause and I'll send this to everybody. And thank you for being on the call.